There's a couple of things I want to cover first before we move forward. So I just kind of listed them in here to ensure that I share everything with you and I don't forget something. So one of the things that you're going to do when you're working with others is you're going to ask for reviews and you're going to ask for their feedback. So to do that efficiently, you can actually just use Command All like this, and you're going to copy the link to this specific page that you're working on. Or if you want to be even more specific, you can just hit the frame that you want to get feedback on, and pressing Command L is going to actually create a frame link. So there's a difference depending on what's selected, what's going to get copied and linked. If you forget about the shortcut, using right click, you can go to copy and copy link, and that's going to do the same thing. So use that to copy links quickly, and people can go inside and kind of check up on your work. You can also do the same thing, so basically copying the link and then pasting it somewhere, be it in your new Medium article that you're writing about your application, or maybe in your design system if you're using like a tool like Notion to document your design system. Maybe you have like everything written out when it comes to a particular component, and you want to share the link for the developers to see how those things are working inside of Figma directly. You can actually embed things really easily by doing the same thing. And you can embed pages, frames, or even prototypes as well. So just keep that in mind. Another thing, when you're asking for feedback, what we often do and what I've seen happen in multiple companies I've been in, you can copy the PNGs. So people would usually go to a particular frame, export it, then drag that photo somewhere like on Slack and ask for feedback. But what you can do is you can just kind of select the frame that you want to export, press Command-Shift-C. It's going to copy this as a PNG, and you can go inside the tool and just kind of paste it there, and it's going to be pasted as an image. So this is going to save you a lot of time. You don't have to export everything. You can just kind of copy things as a PNG, just like it would happen if you took a screenshot and then paste it wherever you need the feedback. If you're working in bigger teams, again, connected maybe more to design systems and libraries that you work with in Figma, you can use underscore or dots to ensure that the styles or components that you're working on but are not ready to share yet with the team, or actually don't want them to be available where the library is connected, you can just use that for private styles and components. So if your name starts with an underscore or a dot, that's going to be private and it's not going to upload to the library and be accessible from there. If you're working with a lot of people, maybe the multiple cursors can get annoying and you don't want to see other people and like what they're doing. You can just go to view and hide multiplayer cursors, or if you're often turning that on and off, just learn this shortcut and that's going to be enough. When it comes to sharing files like this, if I go inside, I can share this with basically anyone. And I can also make this link kind of public so that everyone can see it. And you can actually really easy change that. Just go in here, only people invited to this file, and switch it to anyone with a link or anyone with a link and password. So anyone with the link is going to make this accessible to basically anyone who grabs that link. And often you don't want that because of security reasons. So maybe just adding a password and sharing it with people who need access, but they don't maybe have Figma accounts, or inviting. The best option is always inviting people to this file. They don't have to have edit rights, so that's crucial to know, because I most often don't give my clients nor the developers I work with edit rights. My file would very easily become messy. There are some places where you're kind of maybe gonna do that. For example, if you're working with a copywriter and you don't want them to have to just like every time there is some kind of a copy change, tag you there and allow you to change things. But you need to ensure that maybe that file that they're working in is kind of not the original file, so that they don't mess up some things when they're changing the text around. Or there's always Figma history, depending on your plan. Maybe you have it forever, so you can just access that archive of updates and kind of go back and change it. But to kind of prevent those things from ever happening, the best thing is to use comments and ask people to, if they require any changes, just leave comments there, and then for you to be the one who's handling those changes. So that's why most often you're just going to have designers have edit rights and people in the design team having edit rights. Again, if you're working with a lot of different designers, try to think of other ways to collaborate. If you're unsure of what edits were made and why, maybe there's like one source of truth file that the most senior person or a couple of more senior members have access to, while all of the other people are working in their own separate files, and just kind of you're using the shared library to collaborate there. So a couple of those tips to keep in mind, because again, depending on the type of project, the type of collaboration you have, some of those things you need to consider, so don't forget about those things. Also, if you've seen me click here, you can allow viewers to copy, share, and export from this file. Now, that means that if this is on, and most often it's going to be on by default, people can go inside and copy things and share them and export them. Again, removing this is going to make exporting impossible for your developers too. So depending on the file that you're working with, maybe there's like a dev ready file that only developers have access to, and where they can export things, but maybe the client review file that you're using is not going to have that. Again, maybe those things are just pages in a file because the project is really small and it doesn't make sense to have 3 files for the project. But if you do that, then just understand that your client can easily go inside and kind of copy things and share things. So yeah, public share links, we covered that. Different share rights for files and prototypes. Okay, so basically, as you've seen me in here, I can copy this link and share it with whoever has access to this file, or I can also change the settings in here and that person can then enter. But if you move on to the prototype tab like this, the sharing rights in there are going to be connected to the prototypes only. So as you can see, the button changed to share prototype. If you go inside, you're now sharing the link to the prototype, not to the file itself. So just keep that in mind. Also, if you're copying the link and you're embedding it somewhere, you're embedding the link to the prototype, as I've said. So those are a couple of things in here when it comes to these settings. Nothing's really changed. Yeah, I think all of those things are basically how we covered them. Let me see. Oh, when it comes to working with libraries, so basically things that are going to be connected either to your UI kits that you're using on the project, or like bigger design systems that you use as libraries, kind of consider who has edit rights there. In a project where maybe you're the team lead or someone who's designing and managing the system, you don't want every other designer on the team maybe to have edit rights. So ensure that those people can access those files or link them to their pages or files, but don't give them edit rights if they are not needed. So kind of just continuously remember to check up on those things. Again, more advanced tip, and probably most of you won't have to deal with those things and situations, but when you get to the stage in your career when you're working with a large team, if that's going to be your desired career path, it's often a thing in product teams where not everyone is going to have edit rights, and you have to kind of continuously figure out who needs it and who doesn't. Disabling copy, share, and export I already covered. So yeah, let me just switch all of these to covered. One thing that you can do is, if you're working in multiple teams, or if you have different projects, you can actually just go into that project and drag the thumbnail of the project, so that kind of file, and you can drag it whatever else you need to, if you have all of the necessary rights. So you can just kind of go inside one team when you were working on something and kind of create a copy of that file and drag it into your files, into your team as well, so on. So a little tip, not sure how often you're going to use it, but basically you can copy things between teams and projects just by dragging them, so it's really easy. One of the most important things that I want to share with you is educate your teammates and clients on how you're going to structure things. So, as I've said, depending on your project, and I'm going to give you a couple of examples on how to structure files, but what I want to stress with that is not everyone is going to have the same workflow. Not everyone is going to want to work the same. So if you have multiple personalities of designers, just try to figure out what's the best way to approach that particular project. But when it comes to working with clients and developers, kind of spend 15 minutes just explain what Figma is. What I often do is I have a meeting with a client. We're working in Figma for the first time. I kind of show them the interface. I let them know how comments work. I let them know what I expect from them and when. For example, like once a week when I share things for review, please go inside and just kind of double check if the progress is satisfactory. Or if we have a review call or something, you walk them through there and kind of let them know again on that call, like, I'm just going to present the work. We can comment on some major things. If there's anything little like details that you want change, just kind of go in there and leave the comments there to let me know to update a copy or something. And that leads me to my final point is like, ensure that everyone knows how to use comments. One of the most frustrating things is like someone who's not really working on the project a lot keeps getting notifications about comments. So just go into the comments, go into the settings, and kind of figure out what you want to be notified about. All comments, just mentions and replies. Most often that's the best one, where like if someone is leaving a comment for themselves, you're not going to get notified about it. But if you're the person who needs to know what was discussed, you tag them. So you either tag the client there or a developer, and kind of tagging is used for all of those collaborative commenting purposes. And again, in here, decide on the way that you're going to resolve comments and when and why. And you can work with comments again. If you're unsure how comments work, we covered that in detail in our beginner Figma course. So I don't want to repeat myself there because it's a really easy feature to understand. Okay, so those are kind of the biggest tips I have when it comes to collaborating and ensuring that I don't forget anything when it comes to that. And let's now move on to the second video where we're going to go over some other amazing stuff about collaboration and teamwork.